The MG Metro Cup is sponsored by Drayton Manor Theme Park. Hello and a very warm welcome to Brands Hatch for round 3 of the Drayton Manor Park MG Metro Cup. 2 wins out of 2 so far for Ben Rushworth. 1 win at Donington. He also won the opening race of this meeting at Brands Hatch. Barry, though, is down in the pits talking to Justin Marsden.
Last race we were out, we got 9th position. That was good.
Yeah, it was good. We were trying new tyres. It went well. Good start. I actually got, I think, 7th at one point, but then made a few mistakes, so we can blame the driver there. Quite happy with that.
Now, first round we saw you at Donington. We had problems with the ECUs and all sorts. Seem to have got that sorted now.
Yeah, the ECU decided I was driving a different car part way through one lap, so just cut out. We got it sorted, beaten back to the rolling road, found me a few more horsepower, which is a bonus. So yeah, all good.
So Mark, final race of the weekend at Brands Hatch. Race 1 yesterday didn't go well for you. What went wrong?
No, I had a issue, misfire on about a third lap, so I limped it back to the pits. Compression test, no compression, so I bent a valve somehow. I don't know if it's over revving but we've put a new head on, so ready to go for today.
We've seen you a couple of years previous, you've done this, and you've come sort of second in the Class Bs. Now we've amalgamated the classes. Is that an advantage or not?
Not an advantage for me. I think it will make for better racing, obviously more entertainment, and it's brought sort of the 2 classes closer together. But I'm sort of struggling to keep up with the front of the field at the moment. But we've made some changes ready for the race, so hopefully I'll improve on my position, let's say.
So Terry, we first caught up with you at Donington, and it's your first race season ever, but we're getting some quicker times now.
Yeah, I am. I think it's a combination of sort of being at this track once before during a test day and getting used to the car, speaking to the other drivers, all their help and advice is sort of really helping me out,
Now Donington took some nerve going down the Crane of Curves, as it does with corner 1 on this one.
It does, yeah. Paddock Hill Bend, nothing can prepare you for that whatsoever until you actually get on the track and do it. A lot of people sort of, think racing's easy, but believe me, it's not. The other side of that fence, when you're on that track, you realise just how skillful these guys are, and how committed you've got to be to this sort of sport when you're going into them sort of curves.
So Mike, the first race at Brands Hatch that we had last time out was a bit unusual. Didn't see you on the podium. What's the story?
Yeah, I had a bit of a disastrous race, to be fair. Started off fantastic, got a good start into the corner first, managed to keep the position, and felt quite comfortable going around with the first lap. Felt Ben was obviously behind me but not pushing me too much, and I felt like I was going to go on and win the race, like you do. Unfortunately, we picked up a puncher on the first lap somewhere, and it wasn't really apparent till we'd completed that lap and went into Paddock Hill Bend that the front tyre wasn't pumped up quite as much as it should have been, and we had a bit of a near miss with the gravel. I got to the next corner and realised something was drastically wrong. We decided that was it. Game over.
So today's racing, obviously we've got it fixed. We're back on form, so I take it it's business as usual.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do the same today. Get a good start, get in front, and maintain my position from there.
Quite an experienced driver in the MG Metro Cup. We've seen you for 10 or 11 years, and you're consistently getting some good results.
Yeah, this year's a little bit better than I ended up last year, so I'm happy so far.
Now, the number 7 seems to be quite prominent for this season for you. 7th on the first round at Donington. First time out of Brands Hatch, we're 7th again, so are we looking to move up that table?
We're looking for 6 or 5 today, definitely. Or obviously better than that.
Now, obviously, your association with this has been long term. You must get a lot of enjoyment out of it. There's great atmosphere in the paddock, but it's some cracking racing, isn't it?
It is brilliant. I mean, the racing is so close. Everybody is so professional, and we're like one big family. It is really, really good.
Thomas Burles heading the 29 car of Tim Davies onto the grid. Richard Garrard, the man we heard from, he lines up 7th on the grid. Ahead of him, Ben Rushworth on pole, Mike Williams alongside then Jack Ashton, Ollie Hood, Lee Connell and David Javes. Lights on and out after a fairly long wait. In car with Dan Willars, and Richard Garrard is very slow off the line. The rest of them go through, thankfully no damage done. Jack Ashton being challenged by Ollie Hood. Into paddock we go, Hood in the blue and yellow car. Jack Ashton is 3rd at the moment. Hood challenges for 3rd up the inside line. In the mix there as well is Lee Connell. Justin Marsden in 66 chasing Darren Angood. Thomas Burles to his outside. Very good start indeed. These crowded starts just show you what fine fettle the championship is in. And if you're looking for a way to come into motor racing or resume a motor racing career, sadly, Richard Garrard doesn't make it any further than the end of the pit lane. In fact, he didn't make it that far. Tell you what, he won't be being interviewed by Barry again before a race, that's for sure. So Richard Garrard, who was 4th in the standings coming into this race, is sadly in retirement. Now, I was saying, if you want to come back into racing or find a cost-effective way to come racing in a very friendly and yet competitive environment, this championship is well worth a look. Back end of Jack Ashton's car nearly snapping out there, but he collects it all up. Ollie Hood still in 3rd position. Oliver Hood joint 3rd in the championship with Lee Connell coming to Brands Hatch, or coming into race 2 at Brands Hatch. 26 points, 4 points adrift of Andrew Ashton, who starts at the back in this one. And Jack Ashton goes past as if Ollie Hood was standing still. So, well, he might be standing still soon because he's pulling off onto the grass. Oliver Hood, the 24-year-old from Southampton, pulls up along Cooper Straight and into our second retirement of the race. Forgot about Richard Garrard. Not that he'll thank me for reminding him about that, but Mark Hill's coming under pressure from Ian Dowler. There are dices going on everywhere, and I caught a glimpse of purple and green, which is Andrew Ashton. So championship-wise, Ben Rushworth leads the championship. Andrew Ashton there in 97 is 13 points down on Ben Rushworth. Joint 3rd, Lee Connell and Ollie Hood. Richard Garrard was 4th. Mike Williams joint 5th with Ian Dowler. And Mike Williams, of course, having had a retirement in our previous programme, you might remember that race. So Mike Williams in a strong position championship-wise despite that DNF. And it's a 10-round championship. From Brands Hatch we go to Silverstone in June, Mallory Park in July, Cadwell Park in August. The September race is at Alton Park, and a double header at Snetterton on the 2nd of October to wrap up the 2016 MG Car Club Drayton Manor Theme Park MG Metro Cup. Great progress being made by Andrew Ashton, and now into Darren Angood, the light blue car with the white stripes. Down behind him Dan Willars, who we saw passed in the number 27. Here we go with Dan once again. So looking at the back end of the 97 machine, crucially not losing out that much at the moment to the 97 car, but I wonder how much longer Darren Angood will hold on. A little bit of a wobbly moment there going into paddock from Ian Dowler. Maybe a look in his mirrors. He's still trying. What a problem for Jack Ashton, who seems to be dropping back very quickly indeed on the inside line. So Ashton may well be another retirement, so we'll see whether he can recover. Maybe it was a misgear or a problem. This, though, the battle for the lead. Mike Williams still there. Unbeaten so far is Ben Rushworth in 48, and look how Rushworth is wringing the neck of the 48 car. It's a great drive by Williams so far. Very good indeed off the line from the driver who has done so much racing. He's got so much experience of these cars and showing Rushworth how to do it. Very good inboard view from Ben Rushworth. So cracking battle for the lead, exactly what you want to see in motor racing. The fans here at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit are seeing this battle, and you just feel that paddock might be the place where Ben Rushworth can grab the lead. Meanwhile, through the field and past Ian Dowler goes Andrew Ashton. Another place is gained by him. He's got Mark Eales up front. There's a big gap back to David Javes, who's the next car that he needs to try and pass in orange. A long way down the road, you might see a flash of orange just out of shot, and that's going to be the next target for Andrew Ashton as we go in car with Dan Willars once again. So Mark Eales is passed now by Andrew Ashton past Ollie Hood's car. Ollie sitting on the grass bank watching the racing. I won't say enjoying it. All the spectators do enjoy our racing, but of course he'd much rather be in control of the car. And looking to add to the 2 fifth places that he's had in rounds 1 and 2 so far this year. So Jack Ashton starting to... Oh, he's still going, isn't he, Jack Ashton? We saw him slowing down on the run up towards Druids a few laps ago, but looking okay now and starting to close down on Darren Angood. So a good recovery from Ashton. It's the other Ashton, Andrew, who's at the head of this group, trying to close down on David Javes as Ashton looks up the inside of Darren Angood. Position gained out of Druids, and he's got the inside line for the next corner at Graham Hill Bend. Meanwhile, back to the leaders. Now look at this, for my money, Mike Williams here, not overly defensive. There's a wide line into the corner there, relatively tight there. I think he's probably got the measure of Ben Rushworth at the moment, but this is where we saw Ben gain some speed earlier on the run down in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Ian Dowler still there. Mark Eels, 2 cars in front. Then it's Jack Ashton, then Dowler, and Darren Angood putting on a bit of a run here, and I think he's going to go past on the outside line. Angood makes the pass, moves up a position. So Darren Angood, lovely pass there. Great momentum coming out of the Clark curve. Oh, that's David Javes off into retirement. David Javes is off the circuit, one of the front runners in the chain. Off goes Tom Burles into the gravel big time here at Paddock Hill Bend. Burles is off. That may well bring out the safety car here at Brands Hatch. Welcome back to Brands Hatch. Before the break, we saw the demise of Tom Burles into the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend. We've got heavily waved yellows there, and here comes Ben Rushworth down the inside. Now, was that a reaction to the waved yellows there? Very nearly loses it, collects it up. Well, you might remember the previous programme, he had a big moment at Paddock Hill. Paddock Hill Bend seems to be the Achilles heel for Ben Rushworth. He won round 2, as he did round 1, but had a big moment at Paddock Hill Bend like he did there. He seems to recover. Sideways moment from Darren Angood, and I'm just wondering when the drivers see Thomas Burles' car in the gravel, and of course you've got the car in the gravel, the waved yellow flags, which as race drivers you have to respect. It might well have caught some drivers off, but it didn't catch out the race leader. Mike Williams had no problem at all, and you might think that Williams coming under pressure from Rushworth might have been affected more, but that's the mark of a man who has a great deal of experience, a very accomplished driver in this championship, and to some extent pretty much a benchmark for drivers to look at. Mike Williams, a very, very skilled driver in this championship. But we go back, Mark Eels still engaged in battle with Ian Dowler, and it's the 36-year-old from Newport Pagnell holding sway at the moment. Continued recovery from Jack Ashton, who's looking there at Darren Angood. I beg your pardon, the number 16 car, Lee Connell. Darren Angood, of course, in the light blue car, so Jack Ashton's going to go through on the inside of Lee Connell, but Connell's got a better run along the outside line in towards Paddock. Waved yellows have been withdrawn, so they're safe and clear to race there. Ashton from Ashton, Andrew Ashton from Jack Ashton at the moment, and Lee Connell, remember, third in the championship, jointly with Ollie Hood. He'll consolidate third here with Ollie Hood's demise, unless some of the other drivers could overhaul him in the point standings as well. But Jack Ashton along Cooper Straight up ahead of Lee Connell. Lee, another young driver in this championship, 23 years of age, from Milton Keynes. So we've got a lot of young drivers mixing it up with more experienced drivers as well. And it is a fantastic place to come and learn your craft, a very cost-effective way of learning your racing. And many of the drivers that have raced in this championship, as we said last year when we were part of the Last Lap series, it's a championship that drivers stay with. They absolutely love the paddock, they love racing in this championship. A little bit of a gap now developing between Ian Dowler and Mark Eels, who is ahead of him. And those two having a very good scrap indeed. Eels obviously up towards the sharp end of things, and the battle still raging between Williams and Rushworth out front. Into Druids goes the 44 car. This is the battle, but look how Rushworth has caught the race leader again, very nearly going into the back of Mike Williams, coming up into Clearways. In car with Ben Rushworth once again. Mike Williams has driven superbly in this race so far. The gap seems to seesaw a little bit between first and second. The biggest seesaw happening with that moment at Paddock Hill where we are now for the second place driver, and Rushworth is getting closer. We've got Kyla Birdseye coming into shot, Lady Racer. Kyla's running at the moment in 14th position, and Ben Rushworth closing in. Kyla keeps right to the outside of the track. Difficult to know where to be there because you switch over. Wave of acknowledgement from Ben Rushworth. He's got time to do that as well as challenge for the lead. That was good driving by Kyla because it's difficult to know where to stay there. Outside there because the inside line on the next corner is the opposite side of the track, but didn't cause any problems for the leaders at all. So good driving from Kyla. Right, we go to the number 66 car, Justin Marsden, and off goes Jack Ashton out of a very healthy position. He slowed earlier on in the race. Is that going to be another retirement? Hopefully he'll fire up and get going again. That's Terry Wood in the 69 car, passed by the two leaders. So Ben Rushworth still chasing Mike Williams. Rushworth is banging in fastest lap after fastest lap. And a great mark of the driver, the recovery from that incident at Paddock. So Dan Willar's now dicing hard with the recovering Jack Ashton. Ashton making life very hard for himself in this race with that moment. But as you can see, when he's going very quickly indeed. Willars is going to have a look up the inside line here at Druids. Ashton will know that he's got the run down into Graham Hill Bend. Nabs the place back in the 98 machine. Jack Ashton second in our previous race here at Brands Hatch. Andrew Ashton third in round one at Donington, fourth in race two here at Brands. Dan Willars with 12th in round one, 10th in round two here at Brands Hatch, and on his way to a good top 10 finish once again here in this race. Losing out a little bit now to Jack Ashton, who's starting to pull away, but this is the battle for the lead again, and Mike Williams still here. To my mind, not overt defensive driving from Mike Williams. He is driving defensively, but not as defensively as you might see other drivers doing. There's an element of confidence in his driving, and he still leads. Ben Rushworth looking pretty composed at the moment in second place, and I'm wondering whether Ben's going to have some kind of thoughts about championship points as well. No, he's going to go for the win, isn't he? Back we go to Darren Angood in 6th place, Jack Ashton 7th, Dan Willars 8th, then Justin Marsden in 9th position. A bit of a gap back then to Tim Davies, and then Terry Wood, who we've already seen being passed by the race leaders, but Justin Marsden there, car number 66, running in 9th place, the man from Derbyshire. But back to the leader, and just look how hard the 48 car is trying over the grass. That is so bumpy there as well. And it was all about having a look up the inside, maybe having a sniff up the inside line at Clearways. That might be the last chance saloon then for Ben Rushworth, and Mike Williams will hang on. There is Kyla Birdseye running 13th now, Kyla. Stephen Hinchcliffe in car number 11. In fact, Kyla is in 12th, Hinchcliffe in 11th place, trying to close down on her, but we go back to Darren Angood. Jack Ashton closing in. This is the scrap for 7th place, 6th position as I look at my lap chart, and Ashton's teeing him up on the inside line. Darren Angood here leaving the door open, taking a wide line which might benefit him if he still gets to Paddock Hill Bend in front, but Ashton's going to have a look down the inside line and gets the position. Jack Ashton up into 6th place to back up 2nd place in our previous round here at Brands Hatch. But Mike Williams is now still there from Ben Rushworth, and has got a bit of breathing space going on to the last lap. 1.2 miles to go here around the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch, past the stricken car of Thomas Burles, who joined Ollie Hood, Richard Garrard in retirement, and David Jays was out as well at that point. There is Darren Angood with Jack Ashton ahead of him. Mark Eales is still in 5th place ahead of Jack Ashton. So Eels is on his way to 5th. But here's the battle for the lead, and again Ben Rushworth is closing up. We've seen him have moments at Paddock, we've seen him have a moment going into Surtees as well, and McLaren, which is where they're coming up to for the last time in car with Rushworth. It's a wide line, it isn't defensive at all from Mike Williams going into clearways. Rushworth's best hope now is that he can get momentum through the Clark curve and onto the home straight here, but it looks like Williams is going to hold on. It was a great start and a very good race by Williams, a very spirited drive from Ben Rushworth for second. Third place is going to go to Andrew Ashton, who is around about another 10 or 15 seconds. Just looking at the timing screen, in fact it's over 10 seconds. He's going to go past Timothy Davies as they go across the line. Davies is in 10th place, third position there, just taking the flag was Andrew Ashton. But what a fine race between Mike Williams and Ben Rushworth. That sums up how competitive those two are. Williams from Rushworth, then Andrew Ashton, Lee Connell from Mark Eels and Jack Ashton, Darren Angard 7th from Dan Willars, Justin Marston 9th, and Tim Davies in 10th place. 11th goes to Terry Wood from Stephen Hinchcliffe, who got the better of Kyler Birdseye in the closing stages, and sadly non-finishes for Dowler, Javes, Burles, Hood and Garrard.
Well, that worked out well, and no problems with tyres either.
Absolutely fun that was. I did have problems with tyres, I just didn't show it today. They were absolutely shot, I've got to be honest. I struggled all the way around with them. They lasted though, enough to stay in front. I said, get in front and I can stay there, and I did, so I'm over the moon. As regards to the race, it was absolutely fantastic. Ben was over me like a rash pretty much all of the laps. I just didn't give him an inch of space to get past and maintain that lead.
Ben, fantastic race. Not easy podium by any stretch of imagination, but great little battle there.
That was just immense. I just heart mouth the whole way around, and I was really trying my hardest. Technically, I had the pace. I must have had a half a second a lap on him or something, but getting around him was a completely different matter. He drove the perfect line. Just couldn't get past. I wasn't going to send it anywhere. Third race of the season. So I was trying to be, I say I'm being cautious. I went off at Paddock in a big way, almost took him out, and I went off at Surtees clearways as well, just trying to get past. So it was a tough race, but all credit to him. It was just, he drove really well, especially with the way his car was going off. I could see his tyres were having a bit of a problem, but it was great. Yeah.
Andrew, great race there. Battles throughout the field, but third place wasn't easy to get.
I knew it wasn't going to be easy. There was lots of stuff in my way before I got to the finish line in third. It seemed a bit more harder going at the start compared to yesterday, and I think a lot of the field is sort of gathering a bit more pace, so it was a bit trickier to pick them off this time. So it took a bit of a while to get going, and then there was a lot of shenanigans behind me, then in front of me, watching my little brother spin out and gaining that position. And then slowly got up to Lee Connell, and me and Lee had a great battle, and I just knew there was the same place I had him yesterday was going to be my only chance, and I sort of made it work between there and the S's, and that put him into third then basically. So
Championship looks like this. Rushworth still leads from Andrew Ashton. Mike Williams up into third place now from 5th. Then it's Lee Connell and Jack Ashton. Ollie Hood from Darren Angard, Dan Willars next from Richard Garrard, and Mark Eels in 10th position. Join us next time. We'll catch up with the Metros once again at Alton Park.